Today, in the News Digest, Russia has lost more than 8,000 in meat assaults just for the week, but failed to advance. Data leak from EU meetings. Hungary's foreign minister rang his counterpart Lavrov in the breaks. Ukraine downs multiple Iranian drones in the Middle East. More in our story. Ukrainian drones attacked the largest Russian oil terminal on the Baltic Sea. In Leningrad Oblast, fire broke out in the harbor area. The fuel storage tank was damaged. This port is the endpoint of the Baltic Pipeline System with an annual capacity of up to 75 million tons of oil per year. As of today, completely halted the operations with crude. Local authorities have confirmed a large-scale drone attack also at Pulkovo Airport in the Russian city of St. Petersburg, introducing restrictions on arrivals and departures amidst a threat. On the weekend, Ukrainian defense forces also struck an oil refinery in Russia's region of Saratov. The facility is ablaze and is burning right now as you are watching this for a second day in a row. It is one of Russia's oldest refining facilities in Russia, and it produces fuels and technical lubricants used to supply the occupying Russian army. As of 2023, the Saratov refinery's processing volume stood at nearly 5 million tons a year, according to preliminary information from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. A secondary processing unit and a vertical storage tank were damaged. The full extent of the damage is currently being assessed. Russia lost more than 8,000 soldiers on the battlefield last week, Commander-in-Chief Alexander Syrsky says. He reports an intensification of Russian offensive activity. Syrsky said the Russians concentrated their main effort on the Pokrovsk and Oleksandrivka fronts, where the highest number of Russian attacks was recorded. But despite immense pressure and the burning out of significant amounts of reserves, the Russian command failed.
The Russian military command threw tens of thousands of soldiers into the meat waves, while the cost of such offensive tactic proved catastrophic for the aggressor. Over 4 days of intense assault operations, the enemy lost more than 6,000 soldiers killed and wounded. Meanwhile, during the week, the enemy's total losses amounted to approximately 8,700 in killed and seriously wounded. Alexander Syrsky, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó was accused of passing confidential information from closed-door talks to Moscow. While to some it might come as a surprise, some say those surprised shouldn't be surprised really.
The news that Orbán's people inform Moscow about EU Council meetings in every detail shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. We've had our suspicions about that for a long time. That's one reason why I take the floor only when strictly necessary and say just as much as necessary. Donald Tusk, Prime Minister of Poland, on X.
The EU is limiting the flow of confidential material to Hungary, and leaders are meeting in smaller groups. As Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk warned of long-standing suspicions, Viktor Orbán's government is sharing information with Russia. Overall, the less-than-loyal member states are the main reason why most of relevant European diplomacy is now happening in different smaller formats. E3, E4, E7, E8, Weimar, NB8, JEF, etc., the official said. It undermines trust, cooperation, and the integrity of the European Union, said a second diplomat of the allegations. It's a deplorable situation. If he, Viktor Orbán, stays after the election, I think the EU needs to find ways to deal with this in another manner. I wonder what that manner could be. As Russians surely know it, to aid Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, a friend of Russia, in his election, operatives proposed the game changer, a staged assassination attempt to stir supporters, reports Washington Post. In the run-up to Hungary's pivotal election in April, a unit of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service last month began sounding the alarm over plummeting public support for Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, whose friendly ties to Moscow have long given the Kremlin a strategic foothold inside NATO and the European Union. Officers from the Russian intelligence service suggested that drastic action might be necessary, a strategy Russians called the game changer. In an internal report for Russian intelligence, obtained and authenticated by a European intelligence service and reviewed by the Washington Post, the operatives proposed a way to, quote, fundamentally alter the entire paradigm of the election campaign, the staging of an assassination attempt on Viktor Orbán. P-1 Suns, cherries, octopuses and hornets. What are Ukrainian interceptor drones and why does everyone want them? Asks BBC. Indeed, Ukraine has become a top topic in the world media, and for a good reason. The war with Iran has shown the full danger of the Shahed drones and the importance of protection against them. And it is Ukraine that has the solution to the problem. Mobile fire groups, self-propelled installations of the Cheetah type, anti-aircraft missile systems. All this at a certain stage either does not provide the desired effectiveness against UAVs or becomes too expensive to shoot down relatively cheap drones like Shahed. It is believed that its price, depending on the modification, can vary in the range from $30,000 to $100,000. And this is exactly where Ukrainian interceptors literally change the game. And not only in Ukraine, worldwide. First successful downings registered in the Middle East. It pisses the Kremlin off, of course, but it looks like the Ukrainian Sting interceptors are just getting started.
President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that 228 Ukrainian specialists are already working in Middle Eastern countries. The head of state did not disclose any details of the mission.
We're still on the job. We're here. I'd like to point out that the local air defense specialists, by the way, are quite highly skilled, but they focus more on ballistics. As for small-scale air defense specifically, how to counter massive Shahed strikes, I don't think anyone else has that kind of experience besides us. Volodymyr Zelensky, President of Ukraine, while speaking with journalists.
Ukraine is expanding its defense cooperation with Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Jordan. Kyiv is also prepared to offer the United States a major agreement on drones. This involves not only interceptors, but also maritime and long-range drones that have already proven their effectiveness, as well as knowledge sharing and training. However, the U.S. president has stated that neither Washington nor its allies in the region need cooperation with Kyiv.
This is tangible assistance that could save countless lives and critical infrastructure in the Middle East. And over time, it could be expanded. And for Trump, of course, it is very unpleasant and painful to realize that his Middle Eastern allies are gradually beginning to rely on Ukraine rather than the United States for security in certain areas. Yehor Cherniev, the deputy chairman of the Committee on National Security, Defense and Intelligence of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, in Facebook.
In Berlin, however, Kyiv's contribution to ensuring security in Europe and the Middle East is held in high regard. Germany has streamlined the export of certain types of air defense and naval equipment to Ukraine and the Gulf states to ensure their rapid delivery, reports Reuters. In addition to Ukraine, the new general export license covers Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman.
Under the new regulation, exporters are permitted to export goods without first having to submit an individual application to the BAFA office for export control. The regulation, which stipulates that the companies must register and deliver monthly reports, applies to goods for air and naval defense, including the disposal of sea mines, from a Reuters report.
The new mechanism will significantly reduce the time taken to deliver weapons. Manufacturers will be able to conclude contracts and ship equipment within a short time frame. Deliveries themselves will become not only swift, but also predictable. According to experts, this will enable Ukraine to increase its stock of IRIS-T systems in the near future, which is critically important for Ukraine's air defense. Kyiv, for its part, is ready to share unique technologies with its partners, President Volodymyr Zelensky has assured.
We are developing state-of-the-art drones capable of providing sustained and reliable protection and against threats at sea. We will soon have systems capable of operating in ocean environments. We are also focusing on the development of underwater systems. Thus, when faced with threats in the Black Sea, we find the right solutions. And these solutions may also be of use to you, particularly in complex situations such as the one that arose in the Strait of Hormuz. Drones can solve problems that even a fleet is sometimes unable to handle.
The European Union plans to boost its defense readiness by 2030, drawing on Ukraine's experience, according to the final document of the European Council meeting. EU leaders plan to ramp up defense production with the support of the European Defense Agency and the European Investment Bank. EU member states are already working on joint projects to develop and procure drones as well as counter-UAV measures.
From Europe's perspective, we can see that this process is underway and will gain momentum. We are seeing both individual bilateral projects and entire groups of European countries working together with Ukraine to develop approaches, design weapon systems, and establish new production facilities with increasing vigor. And this is, well, a key factor. In other words, Ukraine is simply being integrated into the European security system. In essence, this is now a key asset and a key direction for Ukraine.
At European Union level, the Drone Defensive Initiative and Eastern Flank Watch are in operation, aimed at strengthening Europe's defenses. Both projects draw on Ukraine's experience, said Andrius Kubilius, European Commissioner for Defense in Space. Reported by Andriy Dmitrenko, UATV News.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to stay informed, and leave a comment with your thoughts. We read them all. See you in the next update.